Hi guys, here we go again with part 3 of the drawing package, and on this lesson I'm going to just cover a few more of the tools. We did the rectangle and the circle and some colours on the last lesson, so this one is using some more of the tools that are available. So again, a blank screen starting with a new hoop and going to create the draw package, and I want to create a new bitmap as opposed to open an existing one, and I want it 4 inches by 4 inches, and I'm going to view at 100%. So you should be getting used to this now as a start point for me. Now, just to recap, the last lesson we covered the circle with the option of line thickness and whether we want it filled or not, and the same with the square. And we also covered a little bit about the color choices. So today I'm going to be covering the polygon, the arc and pie slices. This is an enclosed polygon, a standard polygon, the line, and we see how we get on for time, but I might cover the drawing or not. So first one I'm going to start with is the enclosed polygon. Because it's in an enclosed area, we can have it hollow, we can have it filled with a border or filled without a border. I'm going to right and left mouse click so we've got two colors so you can see what's going on. And for the polygon, it's a continuous shape from point to point to point, daisy chaining. So I click my mouse once, I've released my mouse, I move to the second position that I want, and I can click again and release my mouse, and I just keep clicking, and I can click wherever I want to. And when I've finished clicking, when I get to here, say I'm going to click my right mouse button, and that automatically joins up my last position to the start point and encloses the area. And that's all a polygon does. You just click, 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 and when you've done, right mouse click, and it joins up with the beginning and fills in the areas, or encloses the areas with whatever fill color that you've chosen. I'm going to undo that and go up here to the other polyline, which is not enclosed, and all the choices are here is how thick do you want the line, and do exactly the same thing. Go from point, click, 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 and this time when I right mouse click, it doesn't join up with the beginning, so it's nothing is filled, and that really is the only difference between the two polygons. One is enclosed and one isn't, and I'm going to undo that. I think that's, or hopefully that's fairly straightforward, and we'll move on now to the arc. If you can see that here, and with the arc, it's not an enclosed area, therefore you don't get the fill option, you just get the option of how thick you would like the line. Now this is a little bit different. To get the arc, you actually use your mouse twice. The first to draw the circle or the ellipse, and then your second choice is where you want the arc to be. So I'm going to hold my mouse key down and drag out a circle or an ellipse, and then when I've finished, I'm going to take my mouse finger off the mouse button, and you can see, or hopefully see, that my pen stays on the screen. And now I've got a choice. I can either go clockwise or anti-clockwise, or some people call it counterclockwise. So what I do is I hold my mouse key down again for a second time, and I'm going to go counterclockwise or anti-clockwise to here and release the mouse button, and that is given me an arc where I dragged the mouse anti-clockwise. So I'll do that again. Drag out your circle and release. Move to where you want the arc to be, then hold your mouse key down again and drag anti-clockwise or counterclockwise and release, and that will draw the arc for the distance that you dragged for a second time with your mouse. I hope this makes sense. It's a little bit difficult to explain. That's when you drag anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm going to create my circle again, and this time I'm going to hold my mouse key down, and I'm now dragging clockwise, and rather than giving me the arc where I've just dragged the mouse to, it's going to give me the rest of the pie, if you like. So going clockwise, I dragged this area here, and what it's done is it's given me an arc on the rest of the circle where I didn't drag. As I said, this is quite difficult to explain, so I'm going to undo and just do that again. If I drag the circle out and then move wherever I want to and go counterclockwise, I will just get the arc on the area that I drug. If I go clockwise, it will give me the arc where I did not drag. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. The pie slice is just a filled version of what we just did with the arc. So I'm going to come over here to the filled without an outline and do that again. This time I'm going to drag my circle and release, and then I'm going to come over here and then drag counterclockwise and release, and I get the pie slice. This time it's the radius joined up to the center, and I actually get a pie wedge. If I undo that, drag out my circle, and this time I go clockwise and release, I get the rest of the pie, so where I didn't drag. So the arc and the pie slice work in exactly the same way, in that one drag and release to get your circle, and then you either want to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. If I go counterclockwise, I get the pie slice, drag out again, and if I go clockwise, we get Pac-Man. And as I say, this can be hollow, or it can be filled with a border. So there are our choices there. And if you remember, with our circle or ellipse and with our square, if we held the control key down, we get the perfect circle. The same applies to the arc and the pie slice. If I hold my control key down while I drag out my circle, I get the perfect constraint to a perfect circle. And let's come up and have an arch over here. Here we have the pie slice in the area there. So I hope you're following that so far. A little bit complicated, but let's move on. So we've covered the enclosed polygon, we've done the open polygon. Neither of those get affected by the control key, by the way. We have done the arc and the pie slice. Now I'm going to come just to a line, and a line is not filled, therefore the only choices we get are how thick we want the line to be. And here, hold your mouse key down and get the line where you want it to be and release. And you can have the line as short as you want, as long as you want, at whatever angle you want. at whatever thickness you choose and at whatever colour you choose. If I drag with my left mouse key, I get the colour that is in the first box here. If I drag with my right mouse key, I get aligned with the colour of my second box. The other thing with the line, this is affected by the control key if you want. If I hold my control key down while I draw the line, it forces it to either be vertical, horizontal, or 45 degrees. And I'll just show you that if I can. I'm holding my control key down, and it doesn't matter where I move, you can see it's forcing it to be either vertical, and if I come round, 45 degrees, or horizontal, and that applies all the way round. So I'm holding my control key down, and rather than being able to draw a line, straight line wherever I want to, this is forcing it to be at 45 degrees, or vertically or horizontally. So, and then depending if I use my right or my left mouse button, it's which colour I get. So hopefully I'm not confusing you here. So we've covered the enclosed areas, we've done the pie slice and the arc, we did the circle and the rectangle yesterday, we did the rounded rectangle, either hollow with an outline filled or just filled, and we've done our straight line and the polygon. This op tool here is a spray can, and it works like any spray can that you would actually use at home. Your choices here are for a small, medium, or large spray, and to be honest, I cannot find a use for this as far as the embroidery is concerned. There's probably one somewhere, but I'll show this to you. You just drag where you want to spray. The faster you drag, the less dense the spray pattern will be. If I go slowly, so it's working exactly the same way as if you had a spray can in your hand, but I don't see you ever using that, so we can probably forget about that. And the last drawing tool here is your pen, and your pen choices are what thickness you want the pen to be and what colour. And if you're an artist, you can doodle with this. I'm not much of an artist, but just to give you an idea. So you can just draw and doodle with it. Maybe get your kids to draw something, and this will still embroider out. There you go, Chris, a nice horse for you, which is ridiculous. Now that's with my left mouse button held down, so I'm drawing with the first colour. If I hold my right mouse button down, I can draw with or doodle with the second colour. Now if you remember, I've only got one undo option, so I can only undo the second squiggle that I did. There's no way, easy way just to go undo, because you're limited. So what I tend to do when I make a mistake or I want to start again, the easiest way for me is to select white with the color choice, go to my square, and basically I'm drawing a white square box over the top, and that's to me that's the equivalent of my multiple undos. I can just hide the drawing that I had underneath. So we go back to our pen again. This is just a way of doodling. So I hope that makes sense for you, and I think we'll end it there because that's a good place to stop with all the tools. If you've got any questions, just leave a comment for me, or find me in the Futura group and leave me a question. And the next lesson will be covering some of the other options then in more detail. And I'm just going to close this off and say cheerio to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.